Adrienne, you are in a new location, yes?
I am in DC in the Waldorf Astoria, where queens belong.
Yes, that is true. I love the sound of that. That sounds like amenities. That sounds like luxury.
They have a cherry blossom tree in the lobby indoors. I don't know if it's real or not. I didn't go that close, but it's beautiful. And I was like, this is the vibe.
And I will just note for our listeners, if we sound a little different, it's because with Adrienne traveling, she wasn't able to bring her microphone. So we are going AirPods on this episode, and we'll all just find out together what the sound quality is giving.
Listen, this is cinema verite on a podcast. You are welcome. This is real from the streets of DC.
Hello and welcome to Two Queens, Two Crowns. I'm your host, KJ Miller, entrepreneur, lecturer, and content creator.
And I'm Adrienne Rose White, actress, writer, and teacher of how to actually sell a TV show organically.
Tonight is a Queen Things episode, and we're, keeping it classic with the traditional Queen Things format. We're going to hit you with our social comments. We're going to be responding to a lot of your comments, which I'm always very excited to do, the good, the bad, the positive, the negative. Then we're going to move into a few updates about a few of our amazing powerhouse duos. And then we're going to end with our parking lot. And I think we've both got some pretty interesting news to share. So I'm excited about that. But also because it's Queen Things, we're going to do and say what we want.
As queens do.
That's exactly right. Before we jump in, though, I do want to make two quick announcements. The first is I just want to thank all of you for your support, for listening, for watching, for engaging with the content. And I specifically want to shout out those of you who are on YouTube watching. We have been growing in subscriber count every single day over there. When we started at 180 subscribers, we're now at 336. So to, the roughly 180 of you who have joined as subscribers, thank you, thank you. What's really great about subscribers on YouTube is that once we hit 1,000, we're able to monetize on that channel. So that is something super easy that you can do that helps the show because, as you guys probably guessed, but I don't think we've confirmed, we are completely self-funded here. Okay. So we want to be able to continue to bring you really high quality content, and subscribing on YouTube is a really easy way to help make that happen. So I want to shout out those of you who are already subscribing and invite all of you to go ahead and do that. That's announcement number one. Anything you want to add on there, Adrienne?
I just want to add a shout out to the OG 180 who started subscribing from the very beginning as well. We so appreciate our day ones
Oh,
and everyone else that joins. We love you too. So come on board the train. We're going somewhere great.
look at us. For announcement number two, I was on the TSPN podcast. I was on that show last week, and that episode is going to debut this week. TSPN stands for Taylor Swift Podcast Network. So it is a fan podcast show. If you have not heard of it, it's super fun. And they gave me the idea for shouting out creators as a form of ads on our show. If you guys might remember, a while back, I said, if we start doing ads, one thing I would love to do is to use advertisements to shout out women-owned businesses. And so if any of you listening are starting businesses, have already started a business, have a product you're selling, have an Etsy shop, have a TikTok shop, whatever it is, we would love to potentially partner. So this is just my announcement to invite you to send me an email. We are going to do very discounted rates for ad space. So you can email me at kjmillersocial@gmail.com. Just put in the subject line, Two Queens Ad Partner. That'll help me filter through, and I will be in touch with you. I would love if this becomes something that we can do, and we can use this platform to support as many women-owned businesses as possible. Those are my announcements. Adrienne, anything you need to announce before we jump in?
No, I with bated breath await news of some of our previous queens. So take it away, KJ.
All right, let's dive in, Adrienne. I want to get into these social comments. Now, were you seeing the comments on social about Britney and Christina? How plugged in were you?
I am unplugged. I have one person DM'd me, and so that is the message I can share today.
People like sliding in your DMs and you read them, which is, I think, so amazing of you. I have to tell you, every time I look at my DMs on TikTok, I get so much anxiety because of the number of them that I don't answer any of them because I'm just like, no, 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 no.
I totally get it, and that has been my strategy throughout my entire life. It is only in the last like year that I realized my whole family has a thing around not checking messages. Like there's this like blinders on mentality.
Hmm.
And I was like,
Hmm.
I'm gonna end this generational.
That is amazing, and I love that. And I would love to hear what you were DM'd this week. Let's kick off with that.
Okay, so let me pull it up. A person named Ariana Tavares said that she not only does TBM like we both do, she also loves the podcast. She says, it's incredible. Everything in TBM and the manifestation process is amazing how you guys bring it into Two Queens, Two Crowns. So I thought that was really cool. Wanted to shout her out since I know we've talked about little to be magnetic stuff. I love that there are some people who enjoy the crossover.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, I have to say, I know we've only spoken about it a bit, but for anyone interested, To Be Magnetic is the name of a company that focuses on manifestation and teaches you the principles of manifestation and really guides you through it. Adrienne introduced me to it about a year ago, and it's been really impactful, but I think it also has been responsible for some of the language that we've used a few times on the show around expanding around core wounds and memories and unblocking and triggers and all of that nice, I would call it California language around really being in touch with not just your emotions, but your experiences and how they've shaped you from a very young age. So thank you for that comment. I'm happy that you're finding joy in it. All right, so I want to start with a comment from TikTok from Ellie Fair. She's actually a subscriber of mine on TikTok. She responded to a video where we were talking about the fact that Britney and Christina were marketed very differently from the very beginning and sort of how that changed the trajectory of their careers. She wrote, "It's so sad what they did to Brit. She had pipes, but they thought that the breathier, sexier voice was more marketable against Christina. It ruined her voice." Now, we did not talk that much about Britney's vocals, both in terms of how they started on Mickey Mouse Club and sort of what they transitioned to. But I like this comment because I think Ellie is making a good point here. I personally was very surprised when I went back and listened to Britney on Mickey Mouse Club and even some of her earlier performances before she kind of made it big. Her voice was much stronger than I think the voice that we probably all collectively remember from, you know, Womanizer and Toxic and songs like that. She did have pretty strong vocals. Were they as powerful as Christina's? No, but they were strong. And I hadn't thought about the fact that maybe it was manufactured that way to be kind of that more breathier sound. But it makes sense if that is the case. I don't know. What do you think?
That's really interesting because I never, well, I always thought of Britney as like a little bit more, and tell me I could be using the wrong word, but a little more nasal. Is that accurate?
Hmm.
Would that
Yeah.
describe?
Yeah. I would say that kind of nasally quality was always there. I don't think that it was fully manufactured out of nowhere. To me, when I listen to early Britney versus later Britney, it sounds like the nasaliness of her voice just like increased by 1,000%. And that I can believe is manufactured because just speaking as someone who grew up singing, you don't typically see such a drastic change in someone's vocal tone and quality unless it's being, intentionally done,
Yeah. Yeah. Damn.
right? Damn.
I hope we get to hear. I wonder what her voice is like now. I know she's taking a well-deserved break. But I look forward to if she feels like singing again. I'd love to know what her version of her voice is.
Yeah, I agree. If and when she's ready to make a comeback, I'm curious, what her voice sounds like and what she'd want to do with it. Now, this next one is going to be, I think, slightly more controversial, but I am curious to get your take. So, this is coming from YouTube. A user named Alfonso Garganta, 1922, said that Britney overshadows Christina. And then a user named Gingery Delights, 3554, replied, Christina has greater vocal abilities, but Britney has, to me, always been more likable and more fun. Now, I wanted to call this comment out. First of all, I think we can just say as a blanket statement, it's really it's not our vibe, it's not our bag to compare two women and say one is better than the other. So, not here to argue that point. I think everyone is welcome to have their preferences. However, I think the comment about Britney overshadowing Christina is interesting, and the comment about Britney coming across as more, this user said likable. I might use the word accessible or relatable. Both of those are interesting to me because I'm wondering, one, how much of that you felt, and two, again, how much of that we think, if it's true at all, was sort of manufactured.
In terms of my memory of that time, I do think Britney took up more pop culture space than Christina did. So I hear what that person is saying. I mean, it's a little hard because overshadow also implies that the shadow was bigger than the figure deserved, and I don't think that's necessarily true. But I do think there was more attention paid to Britney in the pop culture space than to Christina. And what was the second comment?
The second comment, the reply said, Christina had greater vocal abilities, but Britney to me has always been more likable,
Oh,
more fun.
more, and you put that to more accessible. It's interesting. Again, this is I agree with what you said about it's not about pitting these women against each other, and I think they both expressed what the narrative very much was at the time of like Christina's a better singer, but Britney's more fun. Like Britney, like we're all more into Britney, even though Christina's better at what she does. And so I think this exemplifies the very narrative that we're like pointing at and moving away
Mm-hmm.
from.
I agree with that. And I will say, as it relates to the idea of some of this being manufactured and some of this being marketing, I think part of the reason it's possible Britney came across as more fun or more relatable is because so much of Britney's image was marketing and was the powers that be doing their darndest to make sure that everything she said, every word she sang, every song that came out was a chart topper. So relatability and accessibility was prioritized. That's the way it seems, I think, for her career. I think you saw for Christina, particularly with her second album, Stripped, a breaking away from convention and from expectation. And sometimes when you break away from expectations, you are labeled as less likable or less fun or more difficult almost. When in fact, I think she probably was doing something that I'm guessing Britney wished she could have done in many ways, which is take the reins of her own career.
And actually, I want to bring up another point on this whole relatability thing because I remember when in high school when I found out that Christina Aguilera was or is Latina. Because when I was younger, I just thought, oh, I had my ideas and understanding of race and background were not as nuanced as they are now. And I just thought,
Hmm.
oh, there's two white blonde girls who can sing. Cool.
Hmm.
And now something about the relatability just made me think, let me check what Christina's background was. And I saw that her dad was an Ecuadorian immigrant, right? And I think and it's very subtextual. I don't think it was overt, but I think something about Britney, I think some of Britney's energy was more like quote unquote classically like homegrown American type feeling, and
Hmm.
Christina was outside of that. And so when people say accessible or relatable, it makes me wonder if that was like one more subtle factor that was making that made people say, "Oh, Brittany, I get it. I know what that is." And Christine, like, "Oh, that feels different. I don't know what that is."
Girl, now you have opened a can of worms now.
Oh no! Oh no! Me?
No, 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 no. In a good way. I will say this reminds me of a conversation that I had not just over on TikTok when I did a video recently about Beyonce and Taylor and how, some of their differences. And then I did a video on YouTube. By the time this podcast comes out, that YouTube will have also been published. And I got to tell you, I'm pretty scared to publish it. It's a video about Taylor Swift and race. And since becoming a Swiftie, I have not spoken about Taylor Swift and race all that explicitly. I've spoken about race and separately, I've spoken about Taylor, but I have not really spoken about that intersection very much because, frankly, I'm scared. Race is already a hot button issue, and I have just seen it really erupt in the Swifterhood. So, why am I bringing this up? Because of something you just said, which is I think a lot of people have trouble finding people of color relatable. Now, to be very clear, I'm not calling Christina Aguilera a woman of color. She is white. She's Latina, but a white Latina. But this is part of the reason I think Beyonce, for example, has never won an Album of the Year Grammy. I think when people listen to Beyonce's music, other people of color's music, it's almost like they're filtering it through that person's race and saying, oh, I can relate to it kind of, but not directly. And somehow we're all supposed to be able to see ourselves and identify ourselves in an artist or in art coming from a white person. Like that's supposed to be immediately and directly relatable for me as a black woman with a black lived experience, but a black person or black woman's art isn't immediately relatable to a white person. And that, I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. But I think you're bringing up a very real point that when something feels like a little different, a little othered, a little spicier, a little more flavored, people sometimes find it less relatable.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I remember finding that and being and just wondering if that was one factor that played a role. Yeah. So
Mhm.
I'm excited to hear the YouTube that you're going to be posting.
Okay, want to shout out one more comment. This is coming from TikTok from Courtney Muniz. And I will just say she was responding to a post where we spoke about the moment between Christina and Britney on stage with Madonna and how afterwards Christina referred to her as a lost little girl. So Courtney wrote, Christina was vilified for saying Britney seemed lost, but she was speaking from a caring, empathetic place. The media twisted it. Now, I just want to go back and read the quote real quick before we make a judgment on whether or not we think she was coming from an empathetic place. Okay, let me just remind everyone what the quote was. This again was when Christina Aguilera was speaking to Blender magazine after they had their VMA performance where both of them kissed Madonna. She said, every time I tried to start a conversation with her, well, let's just say she seemed nervous the whole time. She seems to me like a lost little girl, someone who desperately needs guidance. Now, now, what do you think? What, is that giving empathy? What is that giving for you?
Who desperately needs guidance? Don't let anyone empathize with me to the extent that they're telling publications that I desperately need guidance. Please empathize less. Now, I will say this. I have heard of situations where quotes like adverbs have been added to quotes, things have been like I've heard of that sort of thing happening in journalism. Of course, I know nothing of this particular journalist nor of this particular interview, but I will say I have heard people talk about things that are fake, that get made up. So I'm not saying it's impossible that something was manipulated, but if we're going just by the language that was written there, I don't think there's many different ways to interpret desperately needed guidance.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta tell you, Courtney Muniz, I don't know that I would say this was coming from a caring, empathetic place. It's not giving that. It's not giving empathy, it's giving shade, okay? And not thinly veiled shade. However, I agree with you, Adrienne. Sometimes the media gets it wrong in terms of quoting or misquoting. Maybe that happened here. And also, like we said on the episode, I think Christina was genuinely hurt by the fact that her big epic moment making out with Madonna at the VMAs was completely lost and didn't get shown, and no one was talking about it. This was supposed to be a big moment for her, and it wasn't. I think she was genuinely hurt. So if she did say these words exactly as quoted, do they read as empathetic? No, they do not. However, I can understand feeling hurt and kind of speaking from a place of hurt. So that's what I would say about that.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought this up. I loved revisiting that comment, to be honest. We love fact checking, we love receipts.
I love that you said empathize less. All right, well, that concludes our commentary section. As always, we love engaging with you guys. So please follow us on TikTok at Two Queens, Two Crowns. Find us on YouTube, again, Two Queens, Two Crowns. Leave your comments. We read them, we reply to them, and you might hear them being featured on this very show. So thank you for that. And now let's move on to some updates. I have updates about a few people. Are you excited for this?
I am so excited. I'm dying to hear where our queens are these days.
Okay, so first and foremost, we have to talk about the fact that Taylor Swift's new album is launching on Friday, The Tortured Poets Department. Are you dying inside?
Well, I feel like death as a concept is really more of a construct, and that we're
Hmm.
all always dying. Um, but that said, that my death is more rapidly approaching as my life as I know it may end on Friday. And I say that as someone who I don't know if I don't know where I enjoy Taylor Swift immensely. I don't know that I have the car. I don't have any paraphernalia. I'm a little bit like I've peeked into the Swifterhood and I'm like, it looks really nice in there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
I
I think that this next album, just like Cowboy Carter got me to officially be in the Beehive, I'm wondering if Tortured Poets Department is going to be the thing that gets me in the Swifterhood.
I think it just might because, well, first of all, I don't know how plugged in you've been to everything going on in the Swifterhood. I'll tell you this. I've been plugged in, but not nearly as much as like the hardcore Swifties, because she's been dropping Easter eggs and leaving clues in the lyrics of songs and doing installations and murals, and there's been a lot going on to promote, and I would say kind of quietly promote the album. Like she's literally sending her fans on scavenger hunts, which is so nerdy and amazing. I love that this is Taylor Swift's mind and brain, and that she knows that her fans love it so much. And I actually saw somewhere a mom or maybe a grandma talking about how searching for these Easter eggs and doing these scavenger hunts with her grandchildren, her granddaughter. is so fun and like bringing them together. And I love that. Now, let me just be very clear. I have not tried to solve any of these scavenger hunts. I have not tried to piece together not one single Easter egg. That is just not how, that's not how my fandom works. Okay. I like that everyone else is doing it. And I like, once it's been solved, for y'all to tell me, what's the solution? How did we solve the puzzle? Let me know. I love it. I'm not so much participating in it, but it's been super fun to watch and such a Taylor way to go about promoting an album. And it is getting me very excited for what I think is going to be an extremely sad album. It's giving sad with a touch of angry, is so far the vibe I'm getting. So it's weird to be that excited for something I think that's going to destroy me emotionally, but I am extremely excited.
Is there any sense, are people thinking about what the album is about? Like what brought about this sad, slightly angry album? Is this to do with the breakup?
Is this to do with the breakup, Adrienne? It is everything to do with the breakup. What are you talking about? Oh my God. Oh my God. Adrienne, she was with that man, and by that man, I mean actor Joe Alwyn. She was with that man for 6 years. This is her longest relationship, as far as we all know. And we know a fair amount because most of her relationships have been very public. 6 years she was with this man. He co wrote songs on two of her albums, okay? They were pretty much everyone thought he was in game, okay? He was the person she was going to walk down the aisle with. We all thought that, and there's a very good chance she thought that. And now they've broken up, and she is very much giving us the impression that a whole lot of the album is about that. So we are excited.
That is amazing, especially because in the time, and again, I know very little based on the headlines, based on what I heard people talking about, but it sounded like, she was hanging out with Sophie Turner and she was out on the town and then she met Travis Kelce and she did that other
Mm-hmm.
guy for a second. She sounded very like, bye. But of
Mm-hmm.
course, and she's doing her whole Eras tour, which is very time consuming and emotionally
Mm-hmm.
demanding. So incredible that she had the time to process this breakup and write these songs while doing all this other wildly exciting public life. I mean, I mean,
Yeah, it is unbelievable. Her, I mean, I've said this before, she must literally write songs in her sleep. Because I don't know how else she would accomplish all of this. And she has said many times that writing songs is how she processes her emotions. And that's why I think Swifties are so excited and a little bit terrified of what this album is going to give us, because we do think it's going to have so much of her processing that breakup. And now I will say, in terms of the timing, I don't think any of us will ever fully know the timing, because we know when the breakup was announced. We don't know when the
oh,
breakup was official. She has very much given us the sense through some other songs that have been released over the last few years that things were rocky for a while. So who knows, right? We'll never know exactly what the timeline is, but I think she has probably been processing the ups and downs of this relationship via song for a long time. But I don't know if we've ever gotten just a full on. Some people speculate that her last album, Midnights, was in fact a breakup album. And it may have been, because there are a lot of songs on there that are giving breakup. But see, we didn't know that at that time. And now we know. I think it's going to be very different. And the song titles are giving sadness and anger. In fact, I'm guessing you haven't looked at the song titles, have you?
no, not a single
Let's
one.
let's do that. Okay.
Post Malone is literally everywhere.
This man is on the come up of all come ups, okay? The way I never cared about him at all, and now he's on both Beyonce and Taylor's albums. How? I don't know. All right, so let's look at this track list, Adrienne, okay, just to give you a sense of what we're talking about out here. Now, we start with Fortnite and the Tortured Poets Department. Who knows? Those could be about anything. Then we get into My Boy Only Breaks His Favorite Toys. Presumably, she's referring to herself. Then Down Bad. Then So Long London. What's important to note here is one, he's from London. Two, on a previous album, she has a whole song about how she loves a London boy. Okay, so now it's like, oop, that's over. So long, London. Then she has But Daddy, I Love Him. Okay, then she has a few more songs here that could really be about anything. Fresh Out the Slammer, Girl, When Were You in Jail? I mean, she's got a song on here called I Can Fix Him. No, really, I can. She's got a song called I Can Do It with a Broken Heart. She's got a song called The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived. Now, that one's giving angry to me. She has a song called LOML, which we believe stands for Love of My Life. I mean, it's just giving sadness with a touch of angry. Like we don't know what these songs sound like, but just based on this track list, feels like it's going to be heavy.
Yeah, yeah. I'm curious about the alchemy and Clara Bow. Clara Bow?
I
Hmm.
think it's Clara Bow. Yeah.
I'm curious. I'm excited. Okay. Okay, Taylor.
hmm
Okay, Taylor.
I mean, so the
I
girls are
appreciate the
excited. So
heartbreak that you were about to share with us all.
I do too. I love that this is how she processes it. I wish that's how I processed heartbreak. Okay. I could just write some amazing bangers and make millions of dollars from my heartbreak. My God.
Oh my God. That would be great. That would be just fine.
All right, so that is the Taylor Swift news. The Beyonce news I'd like to share is simply that Cowboy Carter, one, does still have me in a chokehold. I have listened every single day since that album came out. And two, it is still number one on the top Billboard top 200 charts. So it's been number one for 2 weeks now. And I am just so proud of that album for Beyonce. And I will somehow make space in my heart and in my mind for Tortured Poets Department. But right now, I'm still very much on Cowboy Carter.
It's wild that the albums are coming out so close together, too.
It is, however, what's interesting, the New York Times actually wrote an article about this titled Taylor Swift and Beyonce Avoided a Collision on the Charts Again. Basically calling out the fact that Beyonce did release her album, I believe it was 4 weeks prior to Taylor's. So to give it space to basically debut at number one and spend, at least a couple of weeks at number one before Taylor's comes out, which will obviously debut at number one. So it does seem like they continue to make space for one another and give each other the time to have their moments, which is really beautiful.
Yeah, that's amazing. I wonder what those calls are like. Like, I wonder if they're people talk or if they actually talk. I don't know. I have questions that will never be answered very likely, but who knows? Maybe someday.
Yeah, I definitely think at the very least their teams talk, but I think they do too. I think they text. I think they text. I believe that in my heart. All right, and then my final update is about Meghan Markle. Did you see that she is launching a lifestyle brand?
No.
She is. She is. So we found this out a few weeks ago, maybe a month or two ago, because she kind of soft launched it, the name of it. The name of the lifestyle brand is American Riviera Orchard. And she filed for trademarks under that name under like a million different categories. Everything from foods to kitchenware to clothes to yoga mats. I mean, it feels like literally everything. However, the update here is we have officially found out what the first product or one of the first products is going to be because she sent jars of jam to a few of her friends and they posted about it on social media. So it's looking like we are going to get a Meghan Markle strawberry jam. And I'll tell you what, I would buy it. I would buy it.
I can't wait. I would love to have it on an English muffin. I would love like a Prince Harry English muffin and some Meghan Markle strawberry jam. Let's make a
Hmm.
sandwich.
Let's
Nice
do
little
it. And
breakfast
also,
sandwich.
I'm assuming it will be expensive because I think the whole point of the brand is that, like, I don't know, it all comes from her farm in Montecito, so it's all small batch, I think, and probably very expensive. But I'm like, how expensive can a jar of jam be? Okay, it's not going to be $40. So I'm assuming it's going to be, well, now you just raised your eyebrow. Do people sell $40 jam in California?
Um, I I have seen a $20 basket of strawberries, so I could believe a $40 jam.
Oh, y'all are
Sorry.
wild. No, y'all are wild. Nope. Okay, Megan girl, look, I'm trying to rock with you,
What?
girl, but if you come at me talking about some $40 jam, it's gonna be an immediate no. I will not spend that on jam.
It depends on the size of the jam. And
No, it
so many
doesn't.
different. Is it a set of three jams?
Not well, a set of three. Would I spend that?
See?
I don't eat that much jam. I don't know. I
Why don't you guys come over to that place in Beverly Hills? We'll like cook up a brunch. We'll have some
Mhm.
jam, some English muffins. No big deal. It'll be a nice time. We'll get through those three jars of jam in no time, is what I'm saying.
Sure, if you're buying, I'm down for this jam, but this is just an announcement to Megan directly. I'm not going to purchase $40 bottle of jam. So let's just keep the price reasonable. If it's under 20, I'm gonna give it a try. So, be reasonable, okay? Be
Can we
reasonable.
place bets? I'm gonna bet it's gonna be a $25 jar of jam for like
Your bet is
let's say $25 for 3 to 6 ounces. Anywhere between 3 and 6 ounces for the jar. It's my bet.
okay. I agree with you on the 3 to 6 ounces. I think it's going to be $18.
Okay. Okay. Podcast listeners everywhere, you've heard our bets. Please feel free to drop in the comments who you agree with or if there's a different number, and we will revisit whenever this brand launches.
Well, actually, I think it's only fair that I show you a visual of the jam so you can decide if you want to decrease or increase your number. So let me give you a visual of this jam. Okay, now let me just paint a picture here. Actually, why don't you paint a picture for our listeners? Well, what is this giving for you?
So
This
this is
jam.
giving $40. This jam. So right now I think it's 6 ounces. It has some canvas on the top. It has a little tie that might be made of like artisanal straw.
Ooh,
It's a
not artisan.
handwritten number on the label where it says 17 of 50. So it is confirmed small batch. In gold, it's written American Riviera Orchard Montecito. And it says, and on the Instagram, it says breakfast, lunch, and dinner just got a little sweeter with a heart, a white heart, which is my favorite also. So it is to me, this might even be 8 ounces. This to me is giving $40 jam. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm upping my guess to 28.
Wow. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I would agree with you if we are being made to believe that this is actually what the jam is going to look like when sold in store, like with the canvas on top and the burlap wrap or whatever bow, tied around it, and the hand written 17 of 50. Yes. If what we're being told is this is what you will actually purchase when you purchase this jam, I could believe upwards of $30, $40. The thing is, I'm sort of assuming this is a small batch, but it's because this is a pilot batch, which just means, like a first run before you do your massive run. In which case, I would be a bit surprised that they would produce, call it, usually a minimum order quantity for anything is going to be about 5,000. I would be surprised if they were going to produce 5,000 of this. and still wrap it up with a bow and put 17 and 50. That said, maybe if that is the whole point, small batch, like super small batch, because a lot of times when people say small batch, they still mean in the thousands. But if
Hmm.
she means a handful at a time, then yeah, I could believe 40, but I'm gonna keep my guess at 18 because that's about as much as I'm willing to spend.
Okay, I'm gonna say not knowing the particulars, I think you're right. I think there are many factors that would determine the price. So not knowing the particulars, just my instinct said 25. That photo to me said 28. So I'm still about $10 higher than what you're guessing. So yeah, y'all drop in the comments what you think,
Yeah.
and we will see what shakes out. How many are in a batch and how much each of those many cost.
All right, that wraps it up for updates. It is time to get into our parking lot. Adrienne, what do you got?
So I have some good news. I did a movie with Amy Adams a couple of years ago, and it has just started getting published that they've set a release date. So the movie is coming out December 6th of this year, 2024, and it's called Night Bitch, based on the best-selling novel of the same name about a woman who gets so frustrated with the early days of motherhood that she starts turning into a dog at night. So it's very Kafka-esque. It's very, I woke up and what am I now? Which I think a lot of moms can relate to. And it's the best. I mean, the script is phenomenal. The cast is phenomenal. It was an incredible project to work on, and I'm so excited for everybody to see it. And I'm so excited to walk the red carpet. So yeah, it's gonna be fun.
I cannot wait. I remember when you told us about booking this movie, and I feel like I've probably bothered you on multiple occasions, being like, when is it coming? Is it coming now? Is it out now? When is it going to be out? So I love that we have a release date. And is it do you know, is it being released into theaters or being
Yes, it's a theatrical release.
yes. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm so, you know, the way we are going to be up in that theater acting a fool. You already know. Now, is it a comedy?
It's a dark comedy.
Okay. It's a dark comedy. Okay. Wonderful. Love it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what would I can't even yeah, I'd have to think for a while to think of like what a comparable like I think people will laugh. There are parts where you're gonna laugh, but a lot of it you're gonna be like, oh wow, that's life. It's very, very good. It's very, very good.
I
And I think
cannot wait.
yeah, I don't know. I'm not privy to these conversations, but December is the season for award runs. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say.
Uh, I'm so excited. Oh, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. That is the best news ever. Congratulations. I love that.
So that's what's going on with me. KJ, what's in your parking lot? What's going on with you?
Well, I have some news that I can finally share publicly. I did share with you, of course, as one of my besties, but I have not been able to share it publicly until now. And that is that my company that I founded many, many years ago, back in 2017, with my good friend, Mented Cosmetics, we have been acquired.
Congratulations! Oh my God, I'm so glad you get to tell people now you did it. Oh my, living the dream, done like incredible, incredible. Changed the makeup industry and found the way to take. Oh, I don't even have words. I'm so excited for you. And I just have to shout out for all y'all that don't know this woman, she and her partner were the 14th or 15th Black women to ever raise over $1 million in venture capital for a project. They were on some of the biggest, I mean, incredible lists. They have have products that I love to use and that were speaking to women whose needs were never met. So this is such a seminal moment of such an incredible story that you've written for yourself, KJ. And I just want to say how excited I am that you have accomplished this, that you're sharing it with your fan base. You have always been a source of inspiration to me. And I just want you, I'm so glad you're getting one more level of flowers because you so deserve them.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. And yeah, it has been very hard. It's been hard not being able to share this news. And it's been hard not being able to talk about the journey I've been on trying to get to this moment because I've been on this journey for basically the last year. And I have said on this podcast before, the last year was really, really hard. And it was. We were in extremely difficult financial straits, the company. And a lot of consumer product companies didn't make it out alive from 2023. Beauty companies, food companies, apparel companies. It's been a really tough time because, context that I'll share, which may or may not mean anything to our listeners, is that venture capital, you mentioned, I was the 15th Black woman to raise $1 million in venture capital. Well, I would go on to raise over $9 million in venture capital total over the course of the business. And in 2022/2023, funding for consumer product companies basically completely dried up. 97% plummet from 2023 to 2022 in terms of venture capital dollars that went into consumer product companies. And so we tried to raise a round, were unsuccessful, and realized, we have to find someone who wants to purchase this brand or we go bankrupt. And being in that position with your back against the wall is just the toughest thing I've ever done. And so much happened in that year that I've told you about, but have not told a lot of people about. And it was just so lonely and it was just so hard. And I'm just so grateful to our partners at Wesleyan Capital who did acquire the brand and who are going to give the brand another opportunity, because we have so many hundreds of thousands of customers who have fallen in love with the brand over the last 7 years. And I feel so grateful that they're not going to have to say goodbye. They're still going to get the products that they love and the formulas that they love. So, sorry, I certainly did not mean to start crying, but it has just been the toughest journey ever, but with a really bright end of the tunnel. So I just want to share that with all of you because you've been so great and such supporters of me and Adrienne. And I've mentioned almost nothing about Mented in that time because I wasn't able to. So it feels really good to be able to mention it now. And I hope that the brand will be relaunching this summer. Right now, the partners at Wesleyan Capital and the portfolio that Mented is joining, which is the Blooming Brands, they have been hard at work getting everything back up to snuff in terms of getting back in stock on all of the best sellers, making sure that when the brand is relaunched, we come out swinging. So the brand is going to relaunch this summer, and I'm very, very excited for that. And I just want you guys to hear it directly from me.
Okay, this is what I need to know. My Mented foundation stick, is T10 going to come back? That's all I need to know.
T10 will be back, and so will all of the foundation shades, all of the concealer shades, all of the lipstick shades, all of the lip gloss shades. It's all coming back, and I'm so thrilled.
Oh, good, because you know how I love to be red hot and bothered.
Yes. Amazing. Well, that wraps it up for me. I don't have any more new news to share. Do you?
You just shook the earth. No, that's all. That's the note to end on, friend. You are incredible, and I'm just so excited for you and so proud of you and excited for where we're going as two queens with two crowns. And that's it for this week, everyone. From my queen bed and this queen frame, be sure to follow us on TikTok at Two Queens, Two Crowns, and to check out the podcast on YouTube, Two Queens, Two Crowns.
Adrienne and I would also love for you to follow us on our personal socials. I'm on TikTok at IM_KJ Miller. I'm also on YouTube with the handle I am KJ Miller. And Adrienne's on IG at Adrienne Rose White, and TikTok at wrong_or_right. We'll see you next week.